Hey everyone, it's time for another edition of the LudoKit Devlog. This is for version 0.0.96, where we're talking about achievements and specifically translations of achievements. The achievement manager in LudoKit is underway. It's a kind of a big project, and we're under our own time crunch because we are about to release our own game, which is the whole reason we're building LudoKit in the first place. And so we just kind of needed to get some of the stuff working fast. So the whole thing's in a draft state. I don't have any other devlog videos covering the achievements manager at all, so I'm gonna try to avoid getting into the weeds on the other stuff so we can focus on translations because that's the part I wanted to actually get into today because we've got translations for our own game to upload. So I figured I would just show that process while we're doing it. All right, so LudoKit achievements. We're centralizing achievements here because achievements are a huge pain to deal with. You need them on all of the stores that you put your game onto. All the stores want you to do stuff differently. They have different requirements for how long your names are and how long your descriptions are, if you can have multiple descriptions, blah blah blah, how many icons you need, all this stuff. All of it's different. Again, not going to get into the weeds on that stuff, but there's a lot of good reasons to centralize your achievement stuff, and that's what LudoKit is doing. One of the big ones, though, is just translations. Translations are translating stuff, localizing stuff. In general, is just always difficult because it's going to require some experts who know how to know some languages and they know how to localize things because it's not just knowing the language. It's a whole real creative discipline. And so you got to have a team that you're going to work with, or some professionals somewhere. They're going to be doing your translating for you. You, as the person making this stuff, making your achievements, detailing all the stuff about the game, you have to know what information to give them. You have to know how to give it to them in a format they can use, but also not only use, but that is the least likely to allow them to produce errors, and conversely, the most able to help them do their jobs so that they can focus on the thing that they're an expert in, which is doing the translations. And then on your side, you can focus on just now you got translations. You did it. So that's what this is all about. LudoKit's trying to take away all those details from you, so you don't even have to really know how that stuff works on the developer side. And then conversely, that translators don't really have to know what's going on with all this kind of stuff. They just get some stuff from you to translate. They got what they need. They give it back to you. They know how to give it back to you, and LudoKit knows what to do with it when you get it back. So that's the goal that LudoKit has about achievements with translations, and then after that, you still got to get those translations into the stores. And so that's the final bit that LudoKit's trying to help with, is to make it either very easy or at least as easy as possible, given limitations of the stores, to get your translations onto the stores. So that's the gist of it. So you got achievements. Achievements are what? They're just a name and a description, basically, as far as matters for localization, right? So you got achievements, names, descriptions, and if we go into one, then LudoKit provides for you for any kind of localizable text, like an achievement name. It provides a little optional field where you can provide context information for the translation team about this name. So ideally, you're using a translation team who is also translating your game, and so they already have built up their own libraries and glossaries and translation memories of the translations of stuff that's in your game, so that when they see something, they're like, oh, I know this is a reference to something in the game and not a reference to some other thing entirely. But even if they do have that, it is still helpful to give them guidance so that you can help keep things on the rails, help make sure they have the context they need, and just reduce the overall error rate for the whole process. Because errors in translation are very expensive to go back and discover and then fix once you have discovered them. So LudoKit gives you what you need, so you can basically say, hey, that's what it is, we filled that out, and we did it. And what LudoKit also gives you, let's go find one with a goal. So instead of just a binary unlock where you just either it's locked or not, here's one that you can track progress with, for example. So if we go into this Thirsty Dudes achievement, then we can go down and see, hey, this thing's got a goal of 80, whatever. It's just a number. It's got a goal of 80. So LudoKit also allows you to use sort of a curly brace syntax to inject your goal into the name and or the description for your achievement, so that if you change this, then the exports that LudoKit gives you for your game, for translators, whatever, will have that updated value. The value in the string itself, as stored by LudoKit, it just stays as this variable. So that way we can interpolate it, but it also means when we hand this off to translators, we can tell them, hey, this value is currently 80, but it could be anything. So leave this as a variable, leave it intact, and then LudoKit does LudoKit, I've set it up so that since I know what a translation team needs for their software to make sure that they see this as an immutable unit. So LudoKit's already then doing that for you, so you don't have to worry about the translation team deleting this or changing these braces or doing something that breaks it. So then your translation team sees a variable here. They translate around it. They have a hint that's provided by LudoKit about what the current value is, and so they can translate it accordingly. And then that means if you change this value later, you don't have to retranslate it. It just is changed now. All you have to do is re-export it. There's a little bit of nuance there because there are some languages that don't have as simple of pluralization rules as English does, because English is either you've got singular or everything else, right? Which we call plural, but that includes fractions and zero and stuff. So you got singular and everything else in English, and so it's only going to change the grammar if you change a goal from 1 to 2, right, or anything to 1. But any other two numbers doesn't matter, doesn't change anything. But that's not true for all languages. So there's there's a subtlety there. But the nice thing though is that even if that's the case, so like Russian is an example language where there's a lot of changing of plural rules through a lot of numbers. And so it's hard for you to guess unless you're fluent in Russian what a number change is going to do to your plurality rules. But even if you do have something that you change a goal, it was already translated, and now it's grammatically incorrect because something that had the right plural rule for the number that you had is now wrong. People can still tell what you're doing. They can read it. It might read a little funny, right? But they can read it, and the number is correct, which is the most important thing because then players know what to do. And so that gives you the option. Do I retranslate this or not? And also, in which languages? Do I only retranslate? If I just change a goal, then I only need to potentially retranslate it in languages where the pluralization is impacted, across what we think of as plural numbers in English. Anyway, there's a lot there, but the whole point of this is that, again, this allows you to not have to worry about updating this stuff and cascading a change from one place into another, and allows your translation team to also not worry about breaking stuff and so on and so forth. And LudoKit also, when it exports these strings for you from your translators, all the different translated versions of these strings, it interpolates those values for you so that they're just ready to use for the stores, for your game, whatever. And it also properly handles the locale specific separators. So if you have commas and things or whatever in English, the English version, then that might turn into a non-breaking space in some other language or whatever. So it can handle a lot of stuff for you by doing this goal interpolation thing, which is pretty nice. All right, so we got that. So that's you basically setting this stuff up. Names, descriptions, lengths of things. And then LudoKit is set up to use basically the minimum length of allowed length for the names and descriptions for achievements that are seen on really any of the stores. So that way you already know, it basically guarantees that whatever you do here is going to work on any platform you go onto. And it also provides those length limits to translators. And then when you import stuff that comes back from translators, it checks the lengths that come back to make sure that everything is on the up and up. So all this stuff normally you would have to figure out on your own and deal with on your own. And now you just kind of don't, just does it for you. So that's the other thing here you can see. Now that we're on this, this particular achievement, we can say, hey, we've got all these warnings for every language except for the base language of this game, which is English. And so here's German. Oh, look, has not been translated. There's nothing there. So you actually can just, in LudoKit, just add a translation right there. So if someone on your team, or if you just add your translators to your LudoKit organization, they could just come in here and just translate this stuff. Translators generally are going to want to use their professional translation tools for this kind of stuff. So no professional translator will want to, but technically they can. And this also allows you to do surgical edits. So if a player reports something and you confirm that they're correct about some error that they found, you can just go fix it. You don't have to go through the whole loop of the batch export and batch import and all that stuff. So it's there as an option, and it also means that you can flip through all your different locales and see what the translations are. And then again, if you need to make surgical edits, you can. So none of these are translated. So what would you do if you're using LudoKit and you need these things translated? If you are in if you're not using LudoKit, then maybe your stuff is all defined in Steam or in Google Play or in the App Store. If you're on Steam, you can get everything downloaded for translation in this sort of custom bespoke format that Steam uses that professional game translators might be used to, so they might know how to import it and deal with it. But it's not a standard in relation to actual translation. Um, and so you would have to know that. You have to make sure you're providing the right guidance to them and all that kind of stuff. If you're coming from lots of other platforms, like the mobile platforms, there actually isn't really a way to download it. so you'll probably have instead set up a spreadsheet somewhere where you have all of your info, and then maybe you'll send that spreadsheet off to the localization team and ask them to fill out columns per language or whatever. And again, translation teams are accustomed to this kind of stuff. They can do it. But it's basically bypassing all of their tools, and it means that they now have to go through a process where they figure out how to bring all of your stuff, your custom way of doing things, into their tools. And then also, once they're done, how do they get it back into the format that you had it in so that you can go use it? And there's a lot of room for error there. Most of the errors that we've had over our history as a studio have to do with basically this handoff process of moving things between formats. This is why we always build tools to automate things as much as we can. And again, that's what LudoKit's doing for us these days for our achievements. So anyway, let's go look at back at our achievements page. So we got this long list of achievements for how many dudes. I guess there's spoilers in there potentially if you stumble across this as a how many dudes fan. So we got all this stuff in here, and you want to translate it. So what are you going to do? You're going to download your localization kit. So I've already downloaded it, so I can pop it open, and this basically just gets compiled for you by taking all of this information that you've so carefully constructed and assembled inside of LudoKit about all of your achievements, and then prepares a thing for your translation team that you can just hand off. You don't even have to know what's in here, but I'm going to walk through what's in here just because I think it's interesting and good to know. I'll also note that this is a draft. It's all a work in progress. Over time, there will be more stuff in here. The details of what's in here right now will probably change, but the idea will remain unchanged. So it'll give a README file, so that this is meant for you too if you open it up and want to look at it. But the localization kit is meant for your translation team, right? So they've got a README file they can pop open. This gives the project manager who's dealing with the loc team, gives them a high-level summary. Here's our target languages and the codes that we're using, so that way they know because there are all kinds of ways of specifying a language, and so this tells it what we expect and what we are using. It gives a summary of the translation status of stuff. So if this project has no translations yet, so it's just everything. 851 words across 138 new or changed strings. In this case, they're all new. So basically, project manager for a translation team would be able to give this a quick review and be like, okay, I have a sense of the scale of this project and also what languages I need to deal with and who I need to bring on to deal with it. And then notes for translation. I think these are high level because it's just stuff that's going to be true for every project, right? It explains how the variable interpolation works and how it's actually used in the files that are generated. It tells translators where the icons are, because icons are also really useful context information for translators to have access to. So it tells them where that is. It also generates this icons.html file, which lists every icon and also has a link to it to display it so that translators can just open this in their browser, see all the icons. So they basically have a searchable index that they can search by the name of an achievement or things in the description of the achievement or the various IDs from an achievement. So they have lots of ways of finding something they're looking for without it being a nightmare. And then it tells them what we need back. So it says, here's what the file format we've provided is, which is basically the modern standard exchange format for translation stuff, which any good modern professional translation tool will be able to use and give back. LudoKit might need to support some additional formats in the future, but for now it's just going with kind of the more recent standard. And by recent, it's all these standards are pretty old actually, but there's still some software that doesn't support it. So, but ultimately this is just a description of these files that are being delivered to the translation team. So if we pop one of these things open, it's just this horrifying XML file that is generated by LudoKit. But again, the idea is you don't have to know any of this. You don't have to know why this is the way that it is. It's got everything in there. It's got everything in there that the translation team is going to need, and their tools will know how to upload it. And the README file gives them the additional details for the things that could be optional in their tools or that their specific tools may not support. So things that they would be at least unaware of not having access to, so they can make sure they can find some way to get to it. And of course, we've got our icons folder with all of our icons in it, and blah, blah, blah. So that's the idea of this localization kit. So that gets exported, and you literally just it's just a zip file. You just pass that thing off to your translation team, and that's it. And you just wait for them to give it back. And when they get it back to you, they basically are just giving you back those very same. They're called XLIF, those XLF files. But now with translations added or updated, if you've already got some translations in place. And then the uploader does a whole bunch of stuff. You can drop a zip file on there. You can drop a bunch of already extracted files on there. You can drop all kinds of stuff on here, and it'll find the stuff that looks like correct and valid XLIFs, and also do a whole bunch of checking to make sure that it's processable and all that kind of stuff. So if mistakes get made, they get caught early, and you should get the information you need to fix them. Tell your translation team, hey, this isn't going to work, all that kind of stuff. And again, at some point, LudoKit will have to support more kinds of formats and stuff, probably, but the idea will stay the same. So if I want to upload a bunch of translations, I can do that. I can, click on this to open a file picker, or just drag drop a bunch of files. So we're right here. So here we go. So these are the translations that we got back. So these are the real professional translations that we got back for the How Many Dudes achievements, and all the different languages. And so you can see these are the XLIF files. They just send them right back to us now with translations added. So all I need to do here is drag these things onto my upload translations, blip. And a bunch of the stuff you're going to see right now is placeholder stuff, because in the future, this will be a much nicer interface to walk you through what's happening, give you a bunch of stuff ahead of time to be like, hey, this is what's going to happen. Are you sure you want to do this? All that kind of stuff. But right now, we just got to get these things uploaded, and so that's what we're focusing on. So I did it. I did the whole thing. So I got this very concise summary right now that basically just says, did stuff work or did it not work? Again, there's going to be a lot more stuff in here as this project gets more developed. Of course, you don't really care about things that worked as intended, so that's already exactly what we want. But for stuff that doesn't work as intended, it's really nice to know why. For stuff that you may need to decide, am I going to choose what's in the translation already or what's in the new thing? All that kind of stuff we'll have features for eventually. But that was it. After all that talk, it was pretty anticlimactic. But these were the real translations uploaded to our real project for the real achievements that we have made for the game How Many Dudes. That's launching pretty soon here. And I just uploaded them, just so you could see. Just that's the whole reason I'm making this video, so that when I uploaded them, you could see it. Because otherwise it would be really hard to set this up to show how this works. So we did it. Now if we go into one of these achievements, then in theory, oh look, all those warnings are gone. They're all gone. So we're in English right now. Let's switch over to German. Hey, look at this. Look, there's some German stuff in here now, right? Now let's flip over to Latin American Spanish. Yeah, we got just all these. There's all these. All these are in here, right? So that's it. We did it. That was pretty slick, right? And now once you got them in here, then when you download your various ways of needing your achievements, because again, the idea here is with the whole system is that you need achievements in lots of places. You need them in-game, usually not necessarily like the names and descriptions, but you need the goals, the IDs, the store-specific IDs. You need all that stuff in-game. You're going to need it all in the stores, and there may be elsewhere you want to put it too, but those are the main places you need it, and you've got to be able to hand it off to localization teams. And so when it's all centralized in one place that is designed to do all of that for you, then you don't have to figure out how to get things moved around. So then you can basically download your game. So this is just a zip file that has a standardized JSON file that has all of your data about all of your achievements, including localizations. That way, if you do want to show them in game, you can. You can just download your icons. This is basically going to give you 1024 by 1024 icons, both grayscale and originals. And then you're going to have per store downloads. So right now, the three platforms since that's the ones that we focus on as a studio, then these are the ones I'm focusing on at the moment for LudoKit. But each of these has different needs, right? So I just finished drafting the Google Play download. I'm not going to walk you through it because it's its own whole thing, and it's dealing with Google Play for achievements is very frustrating. So I don't want to end up going on a rant, so I will not go into it. But the idea here is that I could go in here, I could download for Google Play. This again, there's so many things you can do wrong or make a choice that you're going to regret later. We've done it. We've made all those mistakes in the past, and so LudoKit is set up to basically have identified those, give you suggestions of what to do, make it easy to do the thing that will make your life easy, and frankly, make it hard to do things that you might prefer to do, but that we don't think you should because it will make your life harder. So, for example, let's choose how many points each thing is worth, and we're like, you should do 20. That's the only good choice. You could do something else, you could do something else, but you should do 20. And then, confirm that, and then it's like, oh, what progress? And you're looking at this and be like, why would I want to read all of this? And the answer is, I've boiled down so much stuff you would have had to read instead. Now you have to read so little, actually, about what the move is here. And hey, look at this. It just tells you, hey, this is what you should do. This is the good idea. You could also do this. That's fine. This is the bad idea. And amusingly, this is the one you would think you are supposed to do by default. So again, LudoKit tries to keep you out of trouble with all this stuff. And then once you do that and you confirm, and it gives you a heads up that Google Play is really annoying to deal with achievements. Here's why, blah, blah, blah. Here's a summary of what's going to happen. And then if that's all sounds good and this is what you want to do, then you can download this thing. And hey, look, you're going to import it over here on the Google Play backend. And so you're going to download this thing. You did it. You can follow this link, drag drop that download onto Google Play, hit upload, and hey, boom, all of your achievements and their localizations and their icons, all of it is just right there and done. So that's the idea of what we're trying to do here with LudoKit with achievements, is let you get as close to possible as that kind of an experience, so that it's pleasant to deal with and manage and work on all of your achievements. It's easy to add the info that you need for translation teams, so that they have what they need. It's easy to get them what they need. It's easy to get that stuff back and get it uploaded. And then when you go to put stuff on stores, it's as easy as possible to do that. Notably, Google Play is the only of these three platforms that has a mechanism that allows a single batch upload. Steam requires a whole bunch of manual work, but some batch uploading. So Steam allows you to batch upload localizations, but not anything else. Everything else is manual. And the App Store, everything is manual. So I showed you the kind of the fun one. It's just download a thing and upload it, and you did it. These ones are not fun, but that's where another feature comes into play with the Achievement Manager, which is this workflow concept, where it'll basically work you through all the stuff you have to do, help you do it in the most efficient order possible, with respect to getting stuff onto the stores. But that is a work in progress, and we're starting to divert from the intention that this video is supposed to be about, which is about translations. So that's it for this devlog about LudoKit. If you are interested in trying out LudoKit while it's here in this very early access pre-alpha kind of a standpoint, you can head over to ludokit.com. You'll find a link to the newsletter and also to Discord, which is where most things happen. So you can join the Discord and ask for access. So especially if you are a developer or publisher, like in the middle of anything that it could be helped by the features that are in LudoKit right now, even though they're all draft features. There's we're using them currently professionally for the release of the game How Many Dudes. And so the stuff is usable. It's just a little janky, and and you have to treat it all with caution, but it is usable. So if you're interested in all that, head over to ludokit.com, join the Discord, and petition for access. Okay, bye.